And speaking of, we have Newark's finest on the phone right now. Steve Adubato, good morning, my friend. How are you?
Good morning, my man. How you doing on President's Day, Joe Piscopo?
Hey, you know what? It's good. It's good to be back, Steve. I tell you, I banged around Vegas. I know you travel. You go out of the state. You come back home. You can't wait to get home, right? It's just home.
Sometimes I leave Essex County. I go to Somerset County, Morris County, and then I got to get back home on Bloomfield Avenue. It's amazing.
Listen, I got a guy picks me up. He picks me up after the fiasco in Vegas airport. I get there. They can't get you to the main terminal. And McCarran International is absolute mess. And so the guy gets in, his name is Daniel, and he goes, hey, that Frankie Vincent was the best man at my wedding. I swear to God. He says that, you know.
That's the first line, right?
Yeah, that's it. Joey. The guy's from Newark, New Jersey, and Frankie Vincent, Joe Pesci, and Valley, they're all his, hey, you know what, my cousin babysat for Frankie Valley. I got the whole thing. You can't get away from it, and it made me feel homesick. I'll tell you the truth, Steve, about it.
Speaking of home, you ready for this?
Yes, sir.
Now, Joe, you don't realize this, but last Monday, I should have plugged this on your show. You were on our show on One-on-One.
Yes.
It was the show that we did at the New Jersey Performing Arts Center.
Yes, sir.
It was the one-on-one show you taped before you got on the radio. So you're on One-on-One with me. We're taping at the Performing Arts Center. And I realized my wife, Jennifer, who's listening right now, because I made her. So she's listening right now. And she was watching us, and she just turned to me and she said, you know that you and Joe Piscopo are doing this show just for yourselves, because half the references are things we did. Hey, remember the time we were at Jilly Sutton when you opened the place and we were there together, and then the other guy was there? She said, you know, nobody else knows what you're talking about right now. And Joe and I don't really care.
We don't, because that's a beauty. That's the beauty of doing your show. But it's good. You got to keep that local feel to it, man. It's just, and it's like, and I always said, like I said at the Hall of Fame, and you were great emceeing that thing because it was a long night. Steve Adubato, you did a great job with especially when it got very sad when Whitney Houston's family got up and
when Sissy got up.
Yeah, God, you moved it along beautifully. I saw tears in your eyes too, man. That's just a tough one. That's a tough one, brother. And you did a great job.
And by the way, you and I that night, you were talking about the benefits that you don't do.
Yeah.
Joey benefits.
Yes.
You got an event. Yeah. I got a tuxedo.
Yep.
Events you don't do, I wind up doing it, vice versa.
But it was great because everybody was there, like our dear friend Nicky Greco, who makes us mention his name. But Angela Genova.
$5 a pop. Go ahead.
No, but Angela Genova was there. Everybody, all of Jersey was there. Anthony Pope. It was really great that night. And I know you get the guys, and we keep waiting. Everybody's waiting for Steve Adubato to interview Governor Christie on this whole Bridgegate thing. And I know
did something happen up at the bridge?
You know what, Steve, I go out of Jersey. I'm in Vegas. I'm in L.A. No one cares about Bridgegate. No one cares. They were all over the governor in Chicago, and there was other incidents, and some of the I think the Republicans kicked out some of the Democrats at the hotel where Christie was because they needed the room. That made news.
Chicago.
Yes, in Chicago. Yeah. But they didn't talk Bridgegate. That I think the governor just barrels right through this and moves on. No.
Well, look, Joe. Let's face it. He's a friend of yours. He's someone I respect, and he's a friend of mine. But as a journalist, I got to play this straight up. And the governor knows that this is a real issue. It's an issue back home, meaning he's got to govern. He's got to deal with the Democratic legislature to get very serious here. There are serious problems with our taxes, with our pension situation, with transportation. He's got to deal with those things. And frankly, for those who have wanted to take the governor down, because let's acknowledge it, there are times the governor, let's just say he's taken some folks on and he's been rough with some folks, and they've lined up to smell just a little bit of blood, just a little bit of weakness that they perceive. Yeah. And frankly, they see it right now. And the governor's got to figure out how to be strong, how to be tough, but frankly, how to also acknowledge that mistakes were made, because they were, Joe. And people were inconvenienced, and it was a problem up at the bridge. The question becomes, how much is on him as a leader? How much is on the people around him? And ultimately, he said he took responsibility. The question is, does this investigation go on forever and ever and ever and paralyze the state? That's not good. Forget about for the governor. Yeah. That's not good for New Jersey. So that's what we're all trying to figure out, those of us who love this state, how to get this done, meaning find out the truth.
Yeah.
wherever it takes it, whether we're friends with the governor or not, but still move on with the business of the state of New Jersey and the people of the state of New Jersey, because they deserve nothing less.
Steve Adubato on the line, ladies and gentlemen. AM970, The Answer at 8:30 right now with Piscopo in the morning. And Steve, now they're going, according to this whole Bridgegate thing, they're going, now Governor Christie took, the Sandy funds came in and he gave it to only the towns that supported him politically, and they were barely touched by Sandy. I mean, any credibility to those rumors?
Look, they're not even rumors. Here's the point. That Sandy money, here's the way I look at it. Every dollar that's Sandy money that came in from the federal government, you have to account for. Mm-hmm. And if someone has evidence that the money was used the way it wasn't supposed to be used, or it was used illegally, they should bring it to the authorities. That's it. Yeah. Because everything else, if you say, I don't think it should have been used in Belleville, New Jersey, because that's not what the money was for a senior citizen home. I don't think it should have been used in New Brunswick because they built a high-rise and some of that funding went for low or moderate-income housing. Okay, if you think it was inappropriate, make the case. If you think that money should have been used for people who are still not in their home, make the case. One's a question of criminality, bring it to the U.S. attorney. The other one's a question of priorities. That's a legitimate argument. But the question really becomes, oh, my God, you think the governor used that money to help his friends politically? Here's the question, Joe. Ultimately, are we going to come down to every person in office, whether it's the mayor or the county executive or the governor, he or she makes decisions, and some of those decisions with some of the agencies they deal with, some of the people who are close to them get helped? I can't believe that happens, Joe. Yeah. I cannot believe that happens in government. I mean, you got to be kidding me. Some of that happens. Now, if his Sandy money is sacrosanct, then let's acknowledge it and say that it's different than every other dollar in government.
Right there. Steve Adubato on the phone. And Steve, you're talking with Senate President Steve Sweeney.
Steve Sweeney.
Who I love tonight.
Great guy.
What time?
This is the show that you did, one-on-one.
Yep.
We sat down. We went down not to NJPAC, but we went down to the state Senate, to the chambers. We sat down with all the 4 legislative leaders. But in this case, we sat down with Senate President Steve Sweeney for half an hour tonight on PBS.
Cool.
So that's on NJTV. That's the public television station in New Jersey. Tonight at 7. And again at 11:30 on NJTV. And on WNET, that's the New York PBS flagship at 12:30 a.m., right after Tavis Smiley and Charlie Rose. Again, the same show I did with you, one-on-one, which is on every night on PBS. Sweeney talks about he talks about the investigation in this way. He says, look, bottom line is we have to find out the truth, but we have to figure out how to govern. Everything I just said before, Joe, and he talks about his relationship with the governor, his complex relationship with the governor, his friendship, and also the battles he's had with the governor. Talks about the pension situation, property taxes, the fact that we have way too many towns in New Jersey, forcing them to merge the really small towns if we want to lower property taxes. Sweeney's a good guy. I mean, he's a tough guy. He's a smart guy. He said, look, I'm an iron worker at the core. In the assembly, we got Vinnie Prieto, who's the assembly speaker. He's a plumber. New Jersey, the only state in the nation. You have the speaker of the assembly is a plumber. The Senate president is an iron worker. I don't know. I think that's pretty good.
As it should be, Steve Adubato. But the difference is Assembly Speaker Prieto wants to add some more tax to gasoline in the Garden State. But Steve Sweeney, I think much smarter, wants to put casinos in the inner city, man. I love that.
Listen, you got to find ways to bring in revenue, Joe.
I love that. Okay,
listen. The casino idea, people, again, you know casinos better than anyone because you perform all over the place. But I got to tell you, the idea of just saying that casinos just in Atlantic City, I think that was the right thing at the time back in the 70s. I think now you've got to open this up and you've got to allow for it to be in other places, because if you don't find ways to create revenue that are more creative and imaginative, even though we've got to watch out for people with gambling problems, we're not going to keep bringing in the revenue we need, Joe, with the old traditional ways. It's not going to work.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Steve Adubato live on the radio, AM970, The Answer, 8:34. Tonight, Steve, one more time. NJTV, by the way, I did a full interview because with
Maddie Orton.
Yeah, with Maddie Orton, who's absolutely fantastic, by the way.
She's terrific.
Yeah, young gal, and she's so excited to be the entertainment kind of reporter over there. She said, Joe, and I was so taken when we were at the Hall of Fame. She came over. I said, fine. So she came out to the house, and that's good. I'm excited about doing
You're on
that.
the premier show. In fact, people should go on the website.
Yeah.
NJTV Online. NJTV Online.
Okay.
She can find Joe Piscopo is the premier show on Maddie Orton's new show, and they can find one-on-one with Joe Piscopo and Steve Adubato, NJTV Online. It is a great interview with me and Piscopo. He carried the show, and with Matty Orton. Piscopo is great, but you see him on TV. You see him on the radio, but he's even better on TV. Well, I shouldn't say that.
Yeah, no. I got the face for radio. I got the face for radio. And tonight, with the great Steve Adubato, you will see the Senate President Steve Sweeney. Anything you need to know, certainly in the state of New Jersey and beyond, you could tune into Steve Adubato. Steve, you're the best. We're going to hang soon, okay?
I love you, my brother.
I love you too, Steve, and thank you. Give the family my best. Steve Adubato on AM970, The Answer.